This is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Swing Good Torah. Like I said, we're going to have a very interesting shir today. We're going to talk about what will life be in the future in the days of Moshiach. So my wife just got me this cool new microphone, so we're going to try it out for this, and hopefully it works, and we'll see how it goes. It should sound better. So when we picture the future, we usually think about like Star Wars or Star Trek, and this technological future. It's interesting. We have some of the things from the future already. We have like, Skype and Zoom are kind of like the video phones of the Jetsons. And I saw a news article recently. They were working on even like the rocket cars. So we may even have the rocket cars in a few years. But what's interesting is the future that is described in the Nevuah, that's described in the prophecy of the Torah. The future may be very different from this technological world that science fiction is predicting for years, and it actually may look more like an agricultural world with some technological centers. I mean, we'll still have the technology probably, but I think people are going to be more returning to the land and more, more agricultural. So let's take a look at what some of the Nevuah says, and then what's going to be interesting is, I think when the nations of the world see that when the Jewish people fully adopt the Torah in the land of Israel and Eretz Yisrael, I think the nations of the world are going to begin to mirror what they see happening, and this will be how the world, changes on a global scale. First, it will happen. So first, like Mashiach has to come, Hashem has to send Mashiach. We have to have a king, a melech back in Eretz Yisrael, and the Mashiach is going to lead this like a grand, great awakening, where you're going to reawaken to the Torah. So all the Jewish people are going to become excited about the Torah again, and we're all going to be learning the Torah and doing the mitzvos. And it's going to start to transform us like personally, because the whole, one of the main functions of the mitzvos is to make us kinder, make us more compassionate, fill us with chesed, fill us with rachamim. And just the mitzvos themselves start to get you out of yourself, make you think more about other people, and become more of a giving person. We begin to emulate Hashem. Like Hashem is this infinite being, and Hashem is the ultimate giver. Nothing can be given to Hashem, and everything that exists is given from Hashem. So we receive everything from Hashem. So like Hashem creates the world, Hashem gives us life, and all this is coming from Hashem. So the more we begin to give to other people, which is the purpose of the Torah and the mitzvah. So it is dual purpose. There is like Bein Adam Be'atzmo, there's the relationship of ourselves with ourselves. And we start to grow in our personal midos, our personal, personal characteristics, our character. And the mitzvahs and the Torah help us grow in that. And then there's the relationship of Bein Adam B'Chaveiro. We begin to grow in the relationship with other people, with our friend. And the mitzvahs help us start to care more about the community we're living in and then the world as a whole. When we're concerned with tzedakah, we're concerned with helping other people. Rabbi Akiva said one of the main mitzvahs of the Torah is v'achavta es re'echa l'kamocha, like you should love your friend like yourself. So first, bein atzmo, with ourselves, we have to love ourselves first. The mitzvahs help us to feel more confident and proud of a good person we're becoming. And then that starts to increase the relationship with other people. We start to have a kinder, more compassionate relationship with other people. And then that's finally bein adam l'makom. And then it brings us closer in our relationship with Hashem. So when we feel good about ourselves, we start to feel better about our relationships with other people. And then we start to feel closer to Hashem, this infinite being. And then Hashem finally, when the world is ready, when Eretz Yisrael is ready, when we're learning the Torah, doing the mitzvahs, then Hashem will manifest the Shekhinah, Hashem's physical presence, back in the Beis HaMikdash, back in the temple in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem. And Jerusalem will become the central focus of the Jewish people again, and it will become the central focus of the world. So it's interesting. So in the Nevuah of Yechezkel, he talks about the division of the land. So hopefully I'll post the graphic. I'll just show you real quick. It just shows the different Shavatim, different tribes, and how they each get a strip of land. So what is the land of Israel actually going to be? So what were we promised? So what is the land of Israel now? And then it's going to be interesting because we're going to get back the area of Goshen, which will be the north part of Egypt, of Mitzrayim. It's the delta region of Egypt, and it may include the canal. I think it will, actually. It will be interesting against the Suez Canal. And then it says that we are going to get a portion of Lebanon and Syria. And then Eretz Yisrael will extend out in all of Jordan and all out into Iraq all the way to the Euphrates. So the physical area of Eretz Yisrael is going to be much bigger. Now then, according to the prophecy of Yechezkel of Ezekiel, it's interesting. So he says that the tribes will each get this massive land area. The tribes will get a strip, and then it will work its way down from each tribe. So it'll first be the tribe of Dan, under them the tribe of Asher, then Naphtali, then Manasseh, then Ephraim, then Reuven, then Yehuda. Then underneath the tribe of Yehuda, there's going to be this special area where the Beis HaMikdash is going to be. And Ezekiel describes it as this beautiful building, this sparkling building. It's going to be covered with jewels and I think gold and silver. And you can see in the Nevuah and the prophecy of Yechezkel, you can see the exact measurements of the structure. And then I think it won't be surrounded by a wall anymore. I think it's going to be this beautiful grass-like area, this almost garden-like area. And the Har HaBayis, the Temple Mount, is exactly where Gan Eden was. That is the center of Gan Eden, where the Aron HaKodesh, where the Ark of the Covenant stands inside the temple. On the Even Shtia, the foundation rock, that is, I believe, where exactly the Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life, stood, in the middle of the garden. And it's going to return to this garden-like state. And then a spring is underneath the Har HaBayis, and a spring is going to come up, and one river is going to flow east, and that's going to flow into the Jordan River, and that's going to clean out the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is no longer going to be salty. It's going to revive that area. And instead of this cursed area where Sodom and Amorah were, Sodom and Gomorrah, it's going to be this beautiful fertile area again, and it's going to be this rich area of agriculture once again. And then another river is going to come out from the Har HaBayis, and it's going to flow to the west into the Mediterranean. And I don't know if I read this right, but I think it may even clear out, this is great, this is totally miraculous, it may even clear out all the salt from the ocean itself. And if you can imagine then the surplus of water that the world would have, there would never be a lack of resources of water. If the ocean becomes drinkable, then no one would ever fear, from thirst or, that kind of thing again. Then below this beautiful garden area where the Beis HaMikdash is, where the temple will be the tribe of Binyamin, of Benjamin, then Shimon, then Yisachar, then Zevulun, and then on the southern border will be the tribe of Gad. So then each one of these strips in the Shvatim, they're going to be divided up. So each Jewish family, each mishpacha, is going to have a portion of that for their own family. That will be, it'll be in their family forever. Not until you don't pay, the property tax. So there is ways that the family can lose it, but then it's returned generally in the Shemitah year or definitely in the Yovel year, so it can never come out of the family's hands. So on each portion of land, it's going to be vast portions of land for each Jewish family, and it's going to return us to more of an agricultural world where we're going to start to raise our own animals because we're going to need animals for korbanos, for offerings in the Beis HaMikdash, in the temple, and we're going to have plenty of cattle, of sheep, of goats, and just we'll have an abundance of meat and milk and food right there, and then we'll have plenty of land to plant, all kinds of fruit trees, beautiful orchards, beautiful vineyards, grow our own vineyards of wine, and just fruits and vegetables, and grow wheat and grain and barley, on our own property. So we'll have each family will have these vast amount of land that will stay in their family, and then we'll have this beautiful return, not to these cities that we're all living in now, but to a more agricultural existence, and each family will have this huge estate. And I believe when the world starts to see this, I think it could have this major effect that all the nations of the world will start to change their dynamic, where each citizen of every nation will start to have their own portion of their own country. I believe at some point there's going to be a mirror effect. Now then, what will the cities be in the future? So it's interesting. So the Torah says that there'll be 48 cities of the Levium, the Levis, the tribe of Levi will have cities. So the rest of the Jewish people are commanded, there's a mitzvah to give Meiser, you give 10% of your crops to the Levi, and then there's also a Trumas, Trumas Meiser, where, from that, Levi's give it to the Kohanim, and all the Jewish people also give to the Kohanes, to the Kohanim. There's Truma, we give to the Kohanes. There's Meiser, we give to the Levies. And the Yaniyim, and if they're still poor, which there may be. Now, eventually, I think maybe it will elevate itself that there won't be a Niyam, but I think initially there's going to be a Niyam. When we get to Olam Haba, I think then we get to the point where beyond, the supernatural, where there's not these, not death anymore, there's not illness, there's not probably poverty anymore. But initially, I think when Mashiach comes, when there's a king, I think there will be poor, and there's still the mitzvah of like Peah, of leaving over a corner of your field, of Meiser Ani, giving Meiser to those who need. In I think it's the third and the sixth year of the Shemitah cycle. And this is how it's going to function. So really the Levies, the Levium, will be the ones that have these 48 cities. And I don't know if these cities are going to be, as big as what we have now, these massive cities like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. But these cities will be the focus of learning. I think the cities of Levium, the 48 cities of the Levies, will be where all the yeshivas will be, and it will be the center of learning. And Jerusalem will be the ultimate center of learning. It will be where the great Sanhedrin is. And the Sanhedrin, we have the Sanhedrin of, I believe, 70 on the Har HaBayis itself, near the temple. In the temple structure, there's a place for the Sanhedrin, the great court, who will decide all the halakha for the whole nation. And then there's a Sanhedrin of 23, I think in the gates of Jerusalem. I think there may be 2 Sanhedrins of 23, I forgot exactly. But then the bigger cities will have the Sanhedrins of 23. And then in local communities, you may just have a little based in of 3 judges. So life will be more rural and agricultural, but for the Chagim, for the great festivals, everyone will come to Jerusalem, everyone will come to Jerusalem. And that, I think, is where the great yeshivas will be. And it'll be the greatest place of learning, and all the world will flock to learn Torah and where the king is and where the Kohanim are in Jerusalem, and it'll be the great center of learning. So the cities will be more, I think, centers of yeshivas and learning Torah. And I think eventually when the world sees the bracha, the blessings that are put on the Jewish people after Mashiach leads us back to learning Torah and doing the mitzvos, I think then the Greco-Roman academic system of the West, and then whatever academia there is in the East, I think they will begin to emulate this, and they will turn those universities into also centers of Torah. I mean, it seems miraculous right now. So I mean, this is just a little bit of a glimpse into the age of Mashiach. So Bezrat Hashem may become quickly. We're in Elul. It's the time we're doing Teshuvah. We're reviewing who we want to be for the next year for Rosh Hashanah. So Bezrat Hashem, maybe Mashiach will come now, right before, or Mashiach will come in 5781, and we'll see all these amazing things, and we'll see Mashiach lead us into transforming the world, into a world that's a world of wisdom, of the Torah and the mitzvos, and a world that actually sees and lives with the presence of Hashem in Jerusalem. Hashem's Shekinah, the whole world can come and see it in the base of Mikdash, in the temple. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you back again soon on Sweet Good Torah.